Alright, today I have with me the two most revered, most iconic and most popular dynamic broadcast microphones, the SM7b and the Electrovoice RE20, also known affectionately as the elephant's member.
Den Elefantenpimmel Electrovoice.
We're going to be running a series of tests on the two mics, from background noise rejection to plosive testing, so that you can hear for yourself how the mics perform in various situations. But most importantly, we've tested both mics with a range of different male and female voices with various different characteristics. So hopefully this video can actually be valuable to you even if your voice doesn't sound like mine. So I've set the two mics up here in front of me and I should be roughly an equal distance away from both, and I'll be switching the audio back and forth between the two as I talk and show you on the screen which mic you're listening to. So let's start with a quick overview of these two mics. The Electrovoice RE20 retails for about £530 or $450 US. It's a dynamic microphone with a cardioid pickup pattern and an XLR connector. The frequency range is quoted as 45 Hz to 18 kHz. It comes with a metal pop shield that can be attached to the body and a carry case. It has a low-pass filter built in, toggled with this switch, and it uses the patented variable D technology that means that the tone stays consistent with changes in distance and angle. More on that later. The SM7b, which retails for £370 or $400 US, is also a dynamic microphone with a cardioid pickup pattern and an XLR connector. The frequency response is quoted as 50 Hz to 20 kHz, and it has a foam shield for plosives and comes with an even bigger one in case you want to do very close mic recording. It also has two filter switches on the back for presence boost and bass roll-off, although you do have to use a pen or other tool to toggle these switches, which is a bit annoying. Both of them have quite a low sensitivity, so you need a lot of preamp gain. So unless you have good clean mic preamps, you could benefit from an inline preamp like the Cloud Lifter or the Dynamite DM1 here. And they both feel like they're built like tanks, and they could handle a lot of abuse, although the SM7B's foam shield could be a bit of a weak point here. Alright, so let's start with looking at how the filter switches affect the sound of the two mics. This is how the RE20 sounds with the flat setting. And this is how it sounds with the bass roll-off filter switch activated. And now the bass roll-off is deactivated again, and you're hearing the flat sound again. Now moving on to the SM7B. This is how it sounds with the flat setting. This is how the SM7B sounds with the bass roll-off activated. Here is how it sounds with just the presence boost filter switch activated. And now this is how it sounds with both the bass roll-off and the presence boost switches activated. And now I've switched both of them off again, so you're hearing the flat sound of the SM7B again. Okay, now let's move on to some background sound rejection tests. I'm now talking directly into the RE20, or in other words, I'm on axis. And now I'm going to be moving slowly to the side, and you should start to hear the rejection kicking in. But the tone should stay pretty consistent because of the variable D technology, and you'll just hear that my voice gets a bit quieter, and then as I come back round again, it should start sounding louder again, but not that much different in tone. And now here's the same thing for the SM7B. I'm currently on axis, and as I go gradually more off axis, you should start to hear it getting quieter, but also probably a bit thinner as well, because this doesn't have the variable D technology, so my voice should be a bit thinner. And as I come back round again, it should start sounding louder and fuller again. Okay, now I'm going to be typing furiously on this keyboard so that you can get a feel for how it rejects these kinds of sounds from the background. So here it is for the RE20. And now the same thing, but with the SM7B. And now let's see how much they pick up knocks and bumps to the mic stand. Both mics come with their own clips, but I'm using pretty standard mic stands, so it should be a pretty realistic test. So here it is for the RE20. And now the same thing for the SM7B. So the last thing I'll do is I'll go to the back of the room and I'll speak from there so that you can hear how the background sound rejection is from a few meters away. So here I am speaking from a few meters away so that you can hear what the background sound rejection is like on these two mics. So here I am speaking from a few meters away so that you can hear what the background sound rejection is like on these two mics. Alright, so the next test we'll do is the proximity effect test to see how the sound changes with distance. Here's the RE20, and bear in mind the variable D technology, which claims that the tone shouldn't change based on the distance. Okay, so this is me speaking to the RE20 from about 10 centimeters away roughly, and now I'll move right up against the grill so that you can hear how my voice changes when I get closer to it, or how it doesn't change. And then as I get further away, you should start to hear that my voice gets quieter. Now I'm probably about 20 centimeters away roughly. So this is how my voice sounds from about 20 centimeters away. Alright, so the same thing for the SM7b. I'm probably about 10 centimeters away now. And then I'll move right up against it. And you should probably hear that my voice gets a lot bassier as I get close to it. And so now as I move away, it should start getting thinner and thinner until, again, I'm about 20 centimeters, maybe a little bit more away from the SM7b, and this is how my voice sounds. Okay, so one thing that can ruin your audio is plosives, when pronouncing letters like P. So let's see how these two mics respond to a plosive heavy phrase with and without the attachments provided to reduce plosives. We'll do the RE20 first. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Alright, and now the RE20 with the provided metal pop shield. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. And for the SM7b, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Alright, and now the SM7b with the big foam shield. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Now let's look at how they respond to sibilants, or in other words, high frequencies from letters like S. Bear in mind that the RE20's pop shield and the SM7b's big foam shield can reduce this. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Alright, so those are all the specific tests done, so let's move on to the sound comparison test. We got a range of male and female voices and recorded the same phrase on both microphones, so that you can hear how the two mics sound with a variety of voice types.
Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash.
Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash.
Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash.
Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash. Two blue fish swam in a tank, and her purse was full of useless trash.
So, you just heard them. Do they sound good? In general, I think that the SM7b sounds a little bit more low-mid heavy, especially when you get right up to it, and that's because of the proximity effect. On bassy voices, it can complement it, but there's also the danger of it sounding quite muffled, although this can be mitigated to some extent with the bass roll-off and the presence boost switches. The RE20, on the other hand, of course doesn't have that proximity effect problem due to the variable D technology, and it also has quite a nice sizzle on the top, which makes it sound a lot more open while also still having a nice and warm low end. Obviously, their sound is completely different to the more realistic and crisp sound of a condenser microphone, but the main use of these microphones is in broadcasting, so like podcasting and streaming, where you want the mic to be very directional, you want it to respond well to loud peaks, and also easy to handle and set up. We seem to prefer the sound of the RE20, And you might have noticed in our latest videos that we use it a lot more, but it does seem that the SM7b is more forgiving when you're not really paying attention to your mic technique and you're moving your head around a lot, like for example when you're streaming. In that respect, the SM7b could also be a better choice for more conversational styles of recording, like podcasting and interviews, especially when the speaker doesn't have that much experience of talking into a microphone and lacks basic mic technique. Now, in terms of setup and ease of use, you should note that both mics are quite chunky big boys, so you should make sure that your stands are sturdy and can support them. So no Amazon basic stands for you then. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, both mics require a lot of preamp boost if you want the best signal to noise ratio. We're using them with a Studio Electronics DM1 Dynamite as I showed you earlier, but you can use any type of inline preamp like a cloud lifter or a FET head, or a good external preamp with a lot of gain like an ISA. Obviously, this also adds to the already high price of the mics. And talking about price, the obvious question is, are these mics actually worth the money? Well, as with most things, as you reach the very high end of the price range, you're also getting diminishing returns. Both mics are of very high quality, they're very well built, and they're amazing sounding dynamic microphones. Are they 3 times better than, say, our Shure Beta 58, which costs about £150? No, probably not. If you already have a decent sounding dynamic microphone, you should probably consider spending that money on other upgrades. So for example, good headphones, good monitors, acoustic treatment, maybe a bigger audio interface, a better preamp, or maybe even a compressor. If you feel like you already have all your bases covered and you're looking for the next level up, then you should consider dropping all that cash on a high-end dynamic microphone. Unfortunately, both mics are so ubiquitous in the podcasting and YouTube space that a lot of people view them as this status symbol, or even believe that they are the only one and true way to sound and look professional, which is simply not true. But that's our opinion after a few months of using them. What do you think? Which mic sounds better? Do you own one or both of these mics and have any thoughts about them? Or maybe you're just trying to learn everything about microphones in general. In which case, you should check out this video over here that we made, which is everything about microphones. And I will see you over there. Bye bye.